Here. Okay, we're good.
Hey, hello everybody. Welcome to our virtual lunch date. Decided to call it that. I think it was fun than a lunch and learn. Thanks so much for joining me and Navneet. I'm Siobhan Lennox. I am an ITL. I practice law in British Columbia. I'm originally from the UK. Where I also practiced law, and Navneet and I met through an organisation called the Global Lawyers of Canada, which is where you may have heard of me from at any rate. And we are a volunteer-led organisation who offer mentoring, networking and support for internationally trained lawyers across Canada and the world. Actually, we've expanded out and about. So you'll probably see us around. You can find us on all social media channels. So over to Nav to introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our second virtual Lunch and Learn. My name is Nav. I am a practicing lawyer in Vancouver, BC. I'm a civil litigator by day and a life coach for lawyers by night. Actually, I guess all hours of the day I do that. And like Siobhan said, we met through some networking with the Global Lawyers of Canada Association and have joined forces to come together and bring you guys this lunch and learn, but also different resources that we're putting together to help guide the following for global lawyers and also some of the people in my network to kind of reach the next level of your careers and be able to combat some of the stuff that's been going on specifically in these unknown and uncertain times. So today we are talking about the importance of building resilience during this uncertain time that we're all facing right now, and what it means to be resilient and why it's going to help you get through this better than ever.
Absolutely. Resiliency is so important. And for those of you who are an internationally trained lawyer, or you've spent any time living or working abroad, you already are resilient. Just moving from one country to another, or even moving from one city to another, shows that you have resilience within you. And today, as we're talking, which we welcome questions throughout, just chime in, raise your hand. If you don't want to actually talk, by all means, there's a comments feature on here. If you just hover your mouse to the bottom of the screen, it'll come up with a chat box. You can just click on that, post your comments, and we'd love to hear how you're managing what's going on right now in your lives, because we know it's different for every single one of us. And so hopefully through today, we're going to give you some tips and tricks that both Nav and I are using, that we've also heard from other people that they're using well, because there is no right or wrong answer to deal with how we feel all of the feels right now. It is a roller coaster. We are going to feel everything from 1 minute to the next. So it's just, how do we go through that today?
Yeah, and that's really important, I think, to highlight is, one, we want this to be very interactive. It's all for you guys and what it is that you're needing right now. We're happy to share our experiences. And from my capacity as a coach, I'm happy to share some exercises that we'll be going through in a bit. But it's very, very important, like Siobhan said, to recognize that we all do already have resilience. Like the fact that you're here and every single hardship that you faced in your life, you have lived to talk about it. You've lived through it, no matter how hard it's been. And every time we go through one of those hardships, we're building our own resilience. So really tap into that and know that it's within you, and you do have more strength than you might be able to identify at this time.
Absolutely, yeah. So I guess right now, some of the messages that I've been getting, Nav, have been from associates. So if we're looking at the legal world, I also appreciate that a lot of us deal with people outside of the legal industry as well, myself included, and there's a lot of layoffs going. I mean, if we read the stats over the weekend, 1 in 6 people have been let go in British Columbia, 1 in 3 people have had their hours cut. So this is across the board. This is probably affecting more people than we're probably aware, because not everybody is talking about it. So there's that side. There's those people, who are facing job losses, hours being cut, uncertainty with money, Then there's the people who, you know, they're at home now, they're working in a different environment, or maybe they're still in work and they're working in, you know, they're still going to the office every day and they're still taking transit every day. And they're facing some challenges around that and their working environments and how they're juggling life and work and that situation. And then we have those people who are like Tiffany, I'm just going to call you out here. You know, she's completing her LLM program right now and she's having to work remotely. And so she's writing all of her exams remotely and finishing her studies. And there's very uncertain times because we're looking at graduating, and the path that we'd envisaged for however many years and months that we've been going through this process looks different now. And that's really hard to face whilst you're also trying to finish your exams, which is a huge deal. So there's lots of different drivers right now coming from different sides, but there's one commonality. We are all going through this together. It is as uncertain for me as it is for any of you guys out there. And so, you know, if we can find one solace in all of this, it's that it's equally disruptive and unknown for everybody. And the way that I try and look at it, is that we're all going to ride this out together by supporting one another. So you guys showing up today for your virtual lunch, mine is a liquid lunch of smoothie today, is one sign of you guys, you know, being super resilient and facing these challenges head on, for sure.
I completely agree, and that's something to really keep in mind. Is it's easy to get really sucked into the effects that all of this is having on our personal lives in our own capacity. So you're only looking at it from your lens. You know, you and I have talked about some students that are reaching out and saying how upset they are that their exams are now deferred and how that might affect their graduation dates, which might affect when they start their career. And that's legitimate. It's okay to feel whatever you're feeling at this moment, and it's okay to feel frustrated over something small or big. There's nothing wrong with that, and nothing, you know, nothing is going to take away from the fact that you're still going through this. However, it's so important to look at the bigger picture to see that there is a global pandemic. We're all going through this, and our ability to be flexible and adjust to different times right now is what's going to help us create strength. So when all of this is over, we're ready for the upswing. And that's what I want to focus on today, is how do you prepare yourself in this moment? How do you plan for the unplannable and prepare to be on that, you know, the roller coaster ride up when all of this is over, and what we're going to do in order to succeed and be strong through this difficult time. So that being said, one of the things that I encourage people to do during these times is when you're feeling uncertain and you're feeling like, you know, the walls are closing in and everything just feels very negative during this time, do a simple writing exercise. If you can just identify the things that you're feeling uncertain about and why that feels so strong, and what is it that's coming up? Is it fear? Is it not knowing what tomorrow's going to hold? Are you afraid you might lose your job? Are you, you know, like, what is it that uncertainty or that is attached to? And if you can kind of identify that for yourself, it helps you see something that is broken down, that becomes a little bit more easy to digest. And then you can start tackling those small little components. So for some people, it might be like the fear of, you know, I don't know if I'm going to get laid off, which seems to be very, like you said, a lot of people are being laid off right now. Different industries are being impacted differently. I think the legal industry is still being seen as essential in BC, at least. I don't know about everywhere else, Ontario as well. So if you do have this legitimate fear, I really think that diving in personally to see what that means to you and how that's impacting your thoughts, your mood, your the way you're showing up towards yourself and towards others, helps you kind of identify what's going on for you from on a more granular level, and then you're able to go and pick that apart and change it from the surface, like beyond the surface. Sorry, you're able to go deep and really change that thought process for yourself.
Absolutely. I definitely know that, you know, I was saying just before we started recording, that this is my, you know, start of my third week of working from home. And, you know, 2 Mondays ago, I made the decision in the office, that was it, I was going to work from home. I'm in a very fortunate position that we are fully online, we can work anywhere, but I just packed up my office and went home and just said, I'm working from home now. And the moment I made that decision, my stomach stopped aching, the butterflies calmed down, I slept really well that night. And then that doesn't mean that I'm not still riding this roller coaster of emotions. I totally am. But it just helped me level out because I'd made a decision and I felt like I was almost back in control. And I know that's not the same for everybody, and not everybody's in this privileged position that I'm in. But it was one thing that I was able to do for me. My husband wasn't in that position. He wasn't able to work from home. And so that then put stress on me because I was concerned about him not being able to work from home. But we talked about it, and the simple act of us talking about it and him talking about what he was doing to manage his expectations and how he was dealing with taking public transit every day really helped me as well in that sense. And it was funny how just talking to somebody sometimes can really make a difference in how we're feeling.
Oh, I completely agree. And that's one of the things that we should not forget at this time is there might be physical distancing, essentially. It's not actual social distancing. In fact, this is your time to forge more deeper connections with people, whether those are, people in your household, your spouse, your loved ones, or people in your network. This is such an important time to take advantage of becoming closer because everyone's going through this hardship at the exact same time. When does that happen? So if you're able to lean on one another, it actually brings people closer together. So, and it also helps you come up with different ideas, different opportunities. Like this virtual lunch and learn was created through you and I connecting because we were both working from home and talking about some of the stuff that we're going through. So it's amazing how creative you can get at these times. And one of the things I would encourage you all to do is to identify the opportunities at this moment. So whether you're working from home, studying from home, still in the office, during all these changes, this is your chance to kind of reevaluate where things are at for you and identify any opportunities that might be available to you. Things that, you always said that I'll do this when I have more time. I'll work out when I have more time. I'll, look for a new job when I have more time, or redo my resume, or whatever it is. You have more time now because the world has slowed down. Even if you're still in the office, everything is different. Like it's not status quo right now. Businesses are not operating at that level they were at even a month ago. So how are you using this time to your benefit? Just that small little shift in your mindset, instead of focusing on all the things that you're missing out on, all of the difficult moments that you're facing right now, how can you turn that around and think about the opportunities that are available to you right now? That will just change and shift everything for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, talking about some of those opportunities, there are so many webinars right now where they're free. Before you might have had to pay to go and attend. They might have been in a location you couldn't get to because, you were working in a suburb somewhere, in the lower mainland, and the event was happening in Vancouver. Well, now it's all happening on your computer or on your phone. So, I mean, there are so many opportunities there. I mean, I'm constantly seeing on LinkedIn and on Facebook and via email that everybody's turned everything virtual, which is fantastic because now it's actually completely inclusive for people. Well, for the majority of people, because I'm sure like this, it's not being captioned because I don't know how to do sign language. But it's more inclusive than things have ever really been. I mean, I got sent an email this morning that the Ontario Bar Association is making all of their CBA sessions available online now.
Yeah.
So if you're in Ontario, it's great to know. I know that the BC, the CBA over here in BC is also trying to do as many of them online. And I just sent an email about one that's happening next week.
I just got that as well. Yeah. They're trying to move everything online, which is amazing. Like right now, the internet is your best friend. It's amazing. I don't know what I would do if I was quarantined without the internet.
Absolutely.
But
it's the first time in my life my mum's not telling me to get off the computer.
Yeah, so true. But it's amazing the resources that are available to us right now, whether you're looking to sharpen a skill, whether you're looking to, dive deep into something that you've always wanted to learn more about. Now is your time. It is so cool. Yeah, like my partner is just talking about learning to code just because he wants to, and that's something that is a skill set that he wants to be able to develop. But it's sky's the limit right now. I've been really surprised at how much I've been learning over the last week and a half, and I haven't been home very long. So pretty amazing what is available to us when we open our minds up to the opportunity to learn.
Absolutely, and people as well are offering up their time for free.
Mm-hmm.
So there's been a number of people who I follow on social media because they say the right things, that strike the right chord with me at the right time, and they're thought leaders in the legal industry. There's some buzzwords for you. They really do. They resonate with what they say, and they're offering up 15-minute coffee conversations online with you, just to talk about your career and their career and what they're doing, and offer their advice, or even just be a sounding board so that you can sound out some of the things that are worrying you, concerning you, and definitely take advantage of those people who are offering it, because it's a genuine offer. And one, it's going to build your resiliency because you're going to add more tools to your tool belt, from tips that people are offering that you can try, but also by broadening that network of people around you. And that, as Nav was saying before, we want to be riding up this roller coaster so that when we get to the top of that peak, we can literally just fly off and achieve what we want to achieve at the end of it. So yeah, take people up on those offers, reach out to them. If somebody posts something on social media, make a comment.
Oh yeah, connect. Like, that's so important. These connections don't just end when the pandemic ends. Like, this is your opportunity to actually get closer to people that you may look up to, your role models in this industry, people that you just want to learn more about, or somebody that has, is in a position to be able to mentor you. Like, why not? Because you're building those connections now that are only going to get stronger over time. So even when all of this is over, you can leverage those connections. So it's just so important to get closer. Like, I'm surprised sometimes at the amount of people that don't take me up on these opportunities. Like, I've been offering the same thing, and saying that I've opened up my calendar for 30-minute free chats with people just to talk about what's going on and support them in any way possible. But people are very reluctant for whatever reason to connect. So it's important that we do take each other up on these opportunities. It's important that we forge deeper connections at this time more than ever, because that's what's going to get you on that upswing. So this is a part of planning what's unplannable. This is a part of when everything goes on pause and all of a sudden your life plans have changed. You get to decide how to put the pieces back together. And this is just one element of the greater picture for you. So when all of this is over, you're going to sit there and say, hey, I remember that pandemic of 2020 that we went through, and there's something about one another when we've all experienced a hardship together. So yes, this sucks and it's hard, but don't just look at it like that. Look at it as an opportunity to build yourself, your resilience, your own confidence, and your strength.
Absolutely, and also other people's, right? This is a great opportunity as well that you can give back. And so often, so many of us feel that we don't have anything to offer other people. But actually, we really do, because maybe we've gone through something a day, an hour, 2 hours before somebody else. And that wisdom and experience that we've gained from having gone through it slightly ahead of somebody else can really help that person behind you to make their pathway slightly easier.
Yeah, you don't have to be an expert at anything. You just need to be a couple of steps ahead, and you're able to, it's about pulling somebody up. If you're standing at a mountain peak or even a little bit higher on the mountain than the other person is, it's about pulling people up to kind of come to your level, and the people that are higher than you will pull you up, right? It's supporting one another through all of these transitions in life right now.
I now have an image of Lemmings. Does anyone remember that Lemmings computer game? This how old I am. Lemmings.
It's a British thing.
These little characters, and they'd like go across the screen, and then they have to jump on a platform, and then you could stack all the lemmings on top of each other to turn them into a stairway. And I now have this image of lemmings making a stairway to help the other lemmings come up, and then they'd reach down and pull them up.
There you go. It's very visual. So anybody that's familiar with this game.
It's like back in the 80s, like, you know, one of those very first computer games. You'll all now be like desperately searching on Google right now. Tiffany's like, yeah, everyone's like Googling what a lemming is.
Yeah, no, but a part of that transition and things that we're going through right now, and one of the things I want to touch on that, you know, we've been hearing about is people that are maybe at a kind of a crossroads in their career right now. So the way I see it, it's check in with yourself. If you right now or a month or two from now had to go back and life was exactly as it was pre-pandemic and work was the same, your personal life, your relationships, everything was the exact same, would you be satisfied? Like, honestly pose that question to yourself. Is that is that completely exactly what you want? Are you in the lane that you want to be in? Or if you went back to normal, would there be something missing for you? Is there something that you would rather do differently? Because now is your opportunity to start identifying the things that you'd rather do differently, the things that you're not really keen about in work that don't align with who you are as a person. Now's the opportunity to start planning that pivot if that's what you want to do. So it's so important just to honestly ask yourself and sit with the thought for a second. If everything went back to normal, would that make me happy? Would I be completely satisfied with my life at that time? And if the answer is no, or there's any hesitation, then you really need to ask yourself why that is and start making those changes now. Because just because things are on lockdown doesn't mean your life has to be on lockdown, doesn't mean that everything just stops completely. Like, this is such an interesting time to be able to carve out that mental space for yourself and start making those plans. Like, I feel like for myself, I've come up with like a million different plans, and it's amazing how much energy I have just thinking about all these things that I can put into place now that are going to help me with that upswing later.
Absolutely, definitely. I know I've been like just absorbing so much like legal knowledge because there's so much being thrown out right now about all different areas of the law. And I'm like, oh, this is interesting. And I find that I've gone on some kind of like Reddit rabbit hole of legal knowledge, but it's not necessarily Reddit, but you know, I've gone down some pathway and like I suddenly emerge like an hour later and I've completely gone on a tangent from where I started. But I'm like, wow, this area of law is fascinating. And I'm like off doing something.
Exactly. And this is like an opportunity to explore other areas of interest. So different areas of law, different industries where you can leverage your legal skills and your law degree. It's amazing how versatile a law degree really is. And
Yeah.
people don't necessarily, they don't teach you that in law school. They just tell you that you need to be the top 10% to get into big law. And that's like everyone's golden dream. But what about, what about the other 90%? Where are they going and what are they doing? Like, they go on to have very successful careers. So there's a lot of opportunity and a lot of options available. So go ahead and explore those. Go ahead and explore what you're interested in. It's such a fantastic time to be able to do that.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, so many different opportunities out there right now. We're seeing it right now. I mean, there was an article I was reading this morning that was talking about this could be a defining moment for the legal industry as a whole, because law is going to be done differently.
Yep.
I mean, we're already seeing it. All the courthouses, they're now doing it online. They're doing virtual courtrooms, virtual court hearings. And, you know, law firms that traditionally have always said, no, you must be in the office in order to do your job. Suddenly their whole team, or, 90% of their team is working remotely.
They have to adapt. I mean, welcome to 2020 legal industry. Like, it's ridiculous that this industry is so old school and so backwards. That being said, of course, there are a lot of firms that are in the new age and really leverage technology, but most of them don't. So I know with my firm, we've been talking about going paperless, and there's been some chatter now about this is a good time to go paperless. And so law firms and other businesses are also adapting to the times because they have to. And adaptation is a part of resilience, because it's what's going to help them get through this and come out on the other side. There's going to be a lot of businesses and careers that fail at this moment as well. There's going to be winners and losers when we end all of this. So you need to decide what side of the coin you want to be on, because everything cannot actually stay status quo. Like you said, this will probably be a defining moment. So it's important to decide to be on the winning side of all of this for yourself personally, for your career, and for your industry as a whole.
Absolutely. And we're not saying we need to make that decision right now, but I think what Nav is getting at is we're going to use this time we have to work out what it is we want.
Exactly. Oh yeah.
To start on a journey that's going to continue for quite some time. Journeys are typically not made by the snap of our fingers. Unfortunately, we don't all have ruby slippers that take us home. We need to have time to put these into place, but now's a great time to think about what it is,
Mm-hmm.
and then start building a plan of how you want your career to look.
It's just about the intention right now. It's the intention to want to make it a change. And if you absolutely love where you're at, then it's the intention of making sure that you're able to hold on to that and you're able to keep things moving along steadily. So, while things are in pause, but also when things start up again. So it's just about assessing where you're at and figuring out what tomorrow is going to look like for you. And if you make an intention to be able to make it through all of this period and come out on top, then that for you is step one, that you're already ahead of the game. For a lot of people that are just kind of keeping their head down and waiting for the storm to pass, just that, in my opinion, is probably the wrong way to go about it, because you're waiting for things to happen for you instead of you being the person that's in the driver's seat.
So you talked to me recently about 3 ways that people could build resiliency.
Yes. So I'd love to go into that. I mean, we've been throwing around this word resilience for a while now, and maybe should have defined it at the top of this lunch break. But just to go over what resilience generally means, it's really just the strength and the speed at which you can overcome adversity, at which you can kind of, see a hardship through. So there's a ton of negative events that may happen in people's lives, and it's their ability to tap into that resilience that makes them come through stronger than before. So it's the speed and the strength, right? And all of that is built over time. It's not something that you just decide is going to happen today or tomorrow. It's acknowledging the fact that all of your life experiences have led you to this moment, and they've all helped you build this resilience. So 3 of the things that you can use now to help build your own resilience on a conscious level, that I mean, there's a ton of things you can do, but these are just 3 of the things that I've been able to identify that I feel like have worked for me and others around me as well. So number 1, we've kind of touched on this, is changing your perspective. Understand, like we said, that you have survived everything that you've been through until this moment. Even the things that you felt like you might not be able to see the other side on, even the things that you felt like were the most difficult things that you've ever experienced, you have survived that. So change your perspective on believing that it's the end of the world, because it's not. But also check in with yourself when things feel really, really hard. Just ask yourself, am I over exaggerating this moment? Am I over catastrophizing it? Because we are all going through this at the same time. So the effects of this pandemic are going to be personal for me and for you, but they're, at the end of the day, it's all under the same umbrella. So just being able to kind of pause and check your perspective when things are feeling really hard is the number 1 thing. And then kind of piggybacking on that is number 2, which is choosing what you focus on. So anytime we're going through something negative, our survival brain, like our lizard brain, puts us into fight, flight, or freeze mode. Like that's just our natural instinct. Right away, we're kind of like, okay, am I going to fight through this? Am I going to run away and is it going to be flight, or am I going to freeze and where I'm at? Those are all, it's a legitimate thing to be feeling, but it's not the right way to go about things. So if you're able to acknowledge when you're focusing on the negative part about something and be able to kind of turn that around, tune in with yourself and make an intention to change your perspective and look at things from the opposite side. So when we start looking at things from the positive side of the coin, we actually start rewiring our brain to focus on the positive things, because naturally our brain wants us to survive. It wants to protect us. And in that way, we're always looking for the negative thing. Like, the caveman that was always facing the tiger, or, you know, afraid that he's going to be eaten up, right away his brain just goes into survival mode. That's just using all of your brain calories, and you're going into this state of shock and freezing often, and it kind of keeps you stagnant. So one of the ways that you can kind of change and rewire your brain to think about something more positive in the long term is to practice gratitude. I used to think this is really, really fluffy, and it was just too airy fairy, like, okay, great, we're all grateful for everything. But it's amazing how much this practice has changed my perspective, changed my behavior and the way I show up, and the type of person I've become. So if every day you can just wake up and identify 3 things that you are grateful for, it might start off by being like the roof over my head, the food on my table, you know, the love I have in my life. But eventually it becomes all the nitty gritty stuff. It's like my ability to work from home, the fact that the sun is shining in Vancouver today, like things like that. It becomes all the small stuff, but it kind of starts to rewire your brain to pick up on those little things in your day-to-day life. And naturally, you'll stop thinking about all the negative stuff that's impacting you and looking at the flip side of it. So I just think that's been this amazing practice, and I would encourage you all to practice that, or at least try it out for a few days and see how you go. Okay, number 3, third thing you can do to build resilience is when you are experiencing something negative or are engaged in an activity, stop and think to yourself, is this helping or is it hindering me? So you know where you're at, and you know what your goal is. You know where you want to be. So whatever that might look like for you, whatever activity you're engaging in, the negative thoughts that you're having, or whatever you know, you're using your energy towards, is that actually helping you get closer to your goal, or is it pulling you further? Just this help or hinder type of assessment for each situation, that in itself will help you build resilience. Like that, if you listen to nothing else, listen to the fact that you can check in with yourself at any juncture and think, is this helping or hindering my progress to get to my ultimate goal? So if you are able to apply those 3 things, being able to change your perspective and know that it's not just, you know, this pandemic's not just happening to you, it's the entire world that's going through something like this, and don't overstate or catastrophize what's happening. And then number 2, choosing what you're focusing on and being able to change your perspective from being negative to positive. And number 3, checking in to see whether your activities or your thoughts are helping or hindering you. Well, those 3 things you're gonna be leaps and bounds ahead of the herd if you're able to apply those 3 to your life on a regular basis, because that's gonna help you build more resilience than ever, both now and after all of this is over. It's just such a helpful exercise, I feel.
All right, great. 3 very simple sounding things that we now need to go away and practice. And I guess it's like everything, it takes practice, right? Resilience, as you said at the beginning, doesn't happen overnight. It's something that we develop over time through actively practicing at it. And using those 3 tips is a pretty good way of starting to build that practice up on a daily basis on that one.
Yeah, definitely. And it's not, I mean, it's not rocket science. Nothing is, but it's the intention that you put behind what you're doing. So yeah, I can talk about it for days and like start speaking all fast and excited. But yeah, it's definitely something that if you put your mind to it, it will change things for you.
Oh, that's fantastic. I wonder if anyone else has any other tips they use for resiliency, or does anyone practice gratitude? You know, I know I tried this morning as I laid in bed and my alarm went off and I didn't have to get out of bed, and I was like, I am grateful for not having to get out of bed this early because my commute is 10 steps. You know, 45 minutes. And I was like, yes, this is fantastic. You know, so that was one of my grateful things this morning.
Yeah, it's a great start. I mean, that's something amazing. So we should be grateful for that. Me too. I was like, what should I wear to the living room today?
And I looked out the window and it was raining and I didn't have to go out in the rain. And I was like, grateful that I don't have to go out in the rain today.
Exactly. And that's all it is. It's all the small things. That's really amazing.
And honestly,
But yeah, I mean,
you know, living in Vancouver, we'd be used to rain, but no.
no, you never really get used to the doom and gloom of Vancouver.
Yeah. Do we want to do Does anyone have any questions? Anybody have any thoughts? Anyone going through anything, or want to throw a hypothetical out? You're more than welcome to. We're not going to put you on the spot though, but you are more than welcome to contact either myself or Nav at any time, and we'll put our contact details up later on. But you can search for us on LinkedIn. We're pretty there. You'll find us. So please do reach out to us, connect with us. Before we wrap up, next week we're going to have a special guest joining us, which we're very excited about. So stay looking out for the poster. Stay tuned for that one. We're just getting their bio to share with you all, so you all know what to expect. Ooh. And then also, I believe Nav has got a special guide that she's willing to send out to you guys. So you can either talk about that.
Yeah, sure. I can share a little bit about that. So it's this guide that I've developed recently for lawyers specifically that are at a crossroads right now. So if you're kind of uncertain about what's going on in your life, whether you are in the right path, if work is kind of feeling a little bit uncertain for you and you're not sure if that's where you want to be. So if you're looking to fall back in love with the law, if you're looking to make a shift in a different area of the law, or completely pivot your work outside of the law, then this is a guide that's for you. It's going to help you identify your own needs and your own interests and leverage your skills to be able to kind of make that pivot and find a job that's aligned with you, like something you actually enjoy doing. And what better time than now to reevaluate where things are at. So if you're interested, you can go on to navneetmann.com/lawyer guide. We'll put the link in our notes and our bio as well, but it's navneetmann, my name, .com/lawyer guide, and you can pick up the free guide there. It's a PDF, and there's a number of exercises that are included that you can work yourself through. And if you need any extra support or assistance going through the guide or have any questions, then just find me on LinkedIn or Instagram or any social media platform really, and get connected, and I'd love to walk you through it.
Absolutely. And there we go. There's some resiliency right there. You can find her on any of the social media platforms. It's the same for me. You can find me wherever. We do appreciate you joining us for your lunch break today. We're almost out of time because we appreciate your time is valuable, and you actually probably do want to go and eat some food.
Yeah.
Unlike me, who's drinking mine. But yeah, if you do have any questions, you are more than welcome to contact us at any time. We know that this is a really weird time for everybody. And so we love talking with you at lunchtime on Mondays. So come back, join us, feel free to comment. If there's any topics you want us to talk about, we'd love to hear what you would like to hear about. And if you want to be a guest, yeah, you can lead the way. Yeah, we will want to hear from all of you. But
awesome.
Have a fantastic week. Enjoy yourselves. Open the window, stand on your balcony.
Get some fresh air.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you again next week. Thanks.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.